Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about why we should be cautious when we pre-order games. So over time, as gaming has gone on, there have been many games that have released and have been very disappointing. Some of them have released in broken, incomplete states where the game launched with major game-breaking glitches. And this video is really going over why we should be very cautious about pre-ordering and why you should really do your research and really think twice before pre-ordering a game. So let's talk about the practice of pre-ordering games, right? So basically when you pre-order a game, you put money towards the game, and you're basically putting money towards a game that you have not played 1 second of the full release of that game. Basically, you are putting money on that game in good faith that the game is going to turn out good, and that you are going to enjoy it, and it's going to be a game that launches in a complete state. The act of pre-ordering games is something I would actually consider very anti-consumer. I don't think it is a very pro-consumer thing to do. And the reason is basically, like I said, you're basically putting money towards a product that you have not played 1 second the full release of. And I want to talk about a developer that I held in very high regard for a very long time, and with their most recent release, it was considered a very, very big disappointment by a lot of people. And so the developer I want to talk about is CD Projekt Red. Now, CD Projekt Red made The Witcher 1, 2, and 3. They made the Witcher games. And The Witcher 3, when that released, was considered one of the best games ever made. CD Projekt Red at that point in time was on top of the world. They had gained a lot of goodwill with the release of The Witcher 3. Now, after The Witcher 3 released, their next game was Cyberpunk 2077. When Cyberpunk 2077 was about to come out, there was a lot of hype regarding the game. And then guess what happened? Cyberpunk 2077 released, and the game was considered a massive disappointment. It released with a lot of technical flaws, and the game was considered itself to be very flawed. And basically all that goodwill that CD Projekt Red built up with the incredible release of The Witcher 3, they threw away. And to this day, they're still working on updates for the game, and they're still trying to fix the game. And so Cyberpunk 2077 really showed gamers a very important thing, which is that we need to be very careful with games that we pre-order. And better yet, we probably shouldn't pre-order games. And I think nowadays we really should wait a few days after the game releases, wait for reviews on the game, and wait for what the reception is from our friends or from gamers. Because if we look at the case of Cyberpunk 2077, after that game released, basically there was so much backlash from people that Sony actually pulled the game from PSN and made it so that you could not buy the game. Because there was so many people requesting refunds. And I think there's a very valuable lesson for us to learn as consumers of video games, which is to wait a few days after the game releases, see what people say about it, and see if the game releases in a working state, and see if the game doesn't release with pay-to-win DLC that gives people an advantage in multiplayer games, and make sure that the game is a good game before we buy it. And this is one of the reasons that I've been a lot more cautious about pre-ordering games, and I sometimes wait for a game to release and then wait for reviews, is because a lot of companies have now decided to release games where you buy the game and then you go home to play it, and then the game releases in a broken state where there's a lot of problems that have to be patched after the game releases. And the game releases and it's very disappointing, it's very underwhelming. It doesn't live up to the hype that the trailers and all the people who were hyping the game up to be like this amazing game, it doesn't live up to all that hype. And so I think as consumers, we need to be very careful about pre-ordering. Wait past the release of the game, wait for reviews, and really be skeptical about games. Hold these developers' feet to the fire. Make sure that they release a working game on day one. Because a lot of these companies have tried to now release broken games that don't work on day one, and then they try to patch and fix the game later. But if we don't pre-order and give them our money ahead of time before the game releases, they won't be able to get away with releasing broken games on day one. Because if people end up waiting and they end up not pre-ordering a game, and they wait to see how the game turns out at release, and the game releases and it's broken and it needs a lot of patches to be fixed, then people won't go out and buy these games, and the developers will have to fix these games, and they'll be a lot more careful about releasing a game that is broken on day one, or that has pay-to-win DLC that gives people an advantage if they pay money in the game. And I think that is a good thing for consumers if we make these developers earn our money, and if they have to really release a working, complete product that works at launch, that doesn't have pay-to-win DLC, that doesn't lock stuff behind DLC at day one. So that is why from this point forward, I think a lot of us should be a lot more careful about pre-ordering games. We should do research on these companies that release these games. We should wait maybe a few days after the launch of the game and make sure that the game is going to turn out good. And we should be really careful and vote with our wallets. Overall, that's going to wrap up the video. As always, I want to say a big thank you for watching the video. I really greatly appreciate it. Let me know, what do you think about pre-ordering games? Are you cautious about pre-ordering games? As always, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel for more videos, more reviews. Make sure to also follow me over on Twitch. Thank you all so much. I really greatly appreciate it. And I will catch everybody in the next video. Thank you all so much. Everybody have a good one. See you all next video.